Hi everyone, this is a lesson on string bending. This is playing a guitar solo, which is just one I've made up, called Rock Ballad Solo in C# minor. We're going to look at basics of string bending. I'm going to demonstrate the solo for you, and I'm also going to play you exercise 1, which is just an exercise where you can practice bending in tune. So to start off with, here's a demonstration of me playing the solo along to the backing track. So first of all, you need to practice exercise 1, and we're going to learn how to string bend. The most important thing when you're string bending is that you bend up the correct fret up to the correct note. Like that. Now, when we're playing exercise 1 and this whole solo, we're only really using 6 notes, and they're all from a scale which you've probably seen before. That's the good old trusty minor pentatonic scale, and we're playing it at your 9th fret. So you're only going to be playing frets 9, 12 and 11. 9, 12 and 11 in total. On each string, that's going to be like this: 9, 12. We're going to play 9, 11 on the next 3 strings. And then on the final 2 strings, we're going to play 9, 12 again. When you play that scale, you can use your little finger or your third finger for the highest frets. Okay, so when we're doing these string bends and when we're playing exercise 1, we're bending up the highest fret on each string. Remember that, the highest fret on each string. So on your G string, the highest fret out of 9 and 11 is 11. So that is the note we're going to be bending. Now, to do a string bend, there's 3 basic things you need to remember. When you do them all correctly, you will be able to string bend correctly or in tune after some practice. So what we're going to do is put your third finger on the 11th fret. You to use your third finger for this string bend. Never string bend with your little finger. It's usually your third, second or first. Put your third finger on that fret. Put your second finger on the fret below it. And put your first finger on the fret below that. What we're going to do is, this is how exercise 1 is going to sound. So we're checking that we can bend up that note. Back to your G string, play 9, 11, then put your second finger on. So you've got 3 frets on the string. Now we're going to do the string bend. Alright, notice a few things. My thumb is hooked around the neck like that. That's really important. Don't hook it around as far as you can. Just rest it on top like that. My first finger and my palm, this part of my hand there, is wrapped around the back of the neck. It's in contact with the back of the neck like that. There isn't a gap like that. If you've played bar chords before, or any chords like D, where you need to have a gap underneath the neck here, that is the opposite to what we're doing. You need to wrap your hand around the neck like that. Notice another thing. My fingers all have a slight curve to them like that. If your fingers are going like this, dancing around, okay, you need to move your hand around a little bit, get comfortable, try rotating your wrist like this. Can you see how I'm bending my wrist? Bend your wrist a little bit until your fingers are not dancing like that and sort of bending. Alright, now we're ready to try the string bend. Okay, so when we string bend, we don't bend our fingers. We don't straighten and bend our fingers. That is the number 1 mistake everyone makes. You string bend by twisting your wrist and your arm, like this. Exaggerate it a bit. So when I do that string bend, it feels like, if I've got a glass of water in my hand like that, it feels like I'm trying to tip it over like that to the left, trying to tip your glass of water like that. That's literally what you do in your string bend. That is what my hand feels like when I'm doing that. If you imagine that my finger is the string and it's being held down with my third finger, when you twist your wrist, you're pushing the finger up like that. Like that. That's why your fingers need to stay curved. Don't let your fingers move, because all you're going to do when you move your wrist is move your fingers like that. So, thumb on top, first finger and hand wrapped around the back of the neck. You've got your third finger on the 11th fret, and then you've got your other two fingers, second and first, on adjacent frets. Those are frets that are next to the one you're playing. Right, so first string on exercise 1, we've got 9, 11. Now we're going to bend up to what's called the target note. This is the other important thing you need to do. We're bending each of these frets up so they sound 2 frets higher. So the highest note on G is 11. 2 frets up from that is 13. On your diagram, that looks like a little triangle note on the tab. So try your 3 notes on the G string. 9, 11, 13. Then try the string bend. Keep that 13 sound. Keep it in your head like that. Stop when you get to that pitch. That's the target note. We've hit it there. We're going to repeat that on the next string, but we're going to play 9, 12. When you play 9, that's with your first finger. Put your third finger onto 12. Move these fingers up so they're still behind your fingers like that. Your first finger has to change frets. And the target pitch for your B string is 12, goes up to 14. Keep that sound. You can even hum it a little bit like that. There you go, that's it. After each of these bends, get your palm on your right hand and drop it onto the strings. If you've ever done any palm muting, it feels the same as that. And stop the bend. Now on the E string, we do the exact same frets. 9, 12, target pitch is 14. And stop like that. Don't worry about the timing of that exercise. The most important thing is that you actually bend the string up. Now, don't worry about it. When you start off bending like this, you'll only be able to move the string probably about this much. Yeah. Make sure that your fingers do not straighten like that. Don't straighten your fingers like this. If there's a gap underneath the neck, if you can wiggle your finger in that gap like that, you're not going to be bending the string properly. And if you can't see your thumb in a mirror, peeping over the top like that, then your thumb isn't hooked around enough. Try exercise 1. Once you can play it similar to that, have a go at the actual solo. Alright, so to start off with, looking at the actual solo, we're going to bend up the 12th fret on the B string. You've practiced exercise 1, so you know that you should have 3 fingers on the string, and you know that you're bending 12 up to 14. Pick that note, bend it up. Now you'll see on the tab it says hold bend. That means you need to keep that bend held whilst doing something else. And the thing you're going to do is you're going to pick it again whilst it's held. Hold the bend, pick it again, then release it back down to 12. That's a bend and release. Now most people get this for the first time they try and do a bend and release. See, it's stopping, the note's stopping. That's because you're taking the pressure off the finger that's pressing the string down, which should be your third finger. So when you bend up, keep the pressure on the string with the third finger. Not these two, these are just giving your hand some support. Keep it on your third finger and actually press it down a bit harder than you would normally do. Keep it pressed down and release it, and the note should carry on. Once you've released it, pick it again. So bar 1 and 2, pick again. Right, now let's carry on onto bars 2, 3 and 4. Starting on your G string, 9, 11. Now we're going to bend 11, so put that second finger on to give your hand some support. Pick it, bend up to the target note, which is 13. Check you're hitting those 3 notes. Now you'll notice that the arrow, the bend arrow, doesn't come back down again. So we're not releasing this bend. This is just called a bend. So use your palm on your right hand, stop the string like you normally would. Then release it and pick the note again. Bend, stop, release, pick. So bend, stop, release, pick. And finish off on your D string. Alright, moving on to the next line down, the next stave down, bar 5. Starting off with the same bend that you did at the beginning. And then we're going to move over onto bar 2, jump onto the E string. Put your first, second, third fingers on when you do that, so you're ready for the bend. Now we're going to bend exactly the same as we did in bar 1, but on the E string. So bend up 12. Make sure it sounds like 2 frets higher, which is 14. Pick it again whilst you're holding it, and release it. Press down on that third finger. Keep your third finger on like that. Now we're going to play 9. This is where it gets a little bit tricky. Get your first finger, move it down onto your 9th fret, just like you would if you were playing the scale. So you play 9. Now quickly put your 3 fingers back onto the B string, onto 12. 9, 12. Bend up, hold the bend, pick it again. So from the 9th fret, hold that bend. And that's your full solo. Now make sure you play this along to my demonstration at the start, ideally along to the backing track, which you should have by now. Make sure that you're listening really carefully to see if it sounds in tune or not. You should be able to hear if you're bending up these notes, because the chords in the backing actually pick out the notes that you're bending up to. Okay. Once again, string bending is one of the hardest techniques to learn. It takes people a long time to get good at it, and I'm still practicing string bending. I find bending B and E a lot easier than bending G for some reason, because G is a lot looser. It's just really difficult. So really, really practice this. You know, try it as much as possible. Bending is one of the great things we can do on the guitar, which a lot of other instruments can't do if you don't have frets. So it's really, you know, in your interest to practice it as much as possible.